Greetings, students! Last week we examined the illuminated scheme which was laid bare in the Chicago Signal Intrusion event, in which the artificial personality of Max Headroom, which was being leached into highly suggestible viewers via diverse media, suddenly exploded in an acute expression onto the airwaves near the locus of illuminated activity in Chicago. Today I'd like to discuss the pivot that I believe the controllers took after the Max plan went bust. There was a viable illuminated project which seems to have gotten supercharged shortly after the 1986 crash. The person at the center of this pivot was a Prussian prince named Wilhelm von Meister, a man whose obituary describes him as an alcoholic, a race car driver, a sailor, and a quote-unquote magnificent rogue who could raise money from the dead. Surely this last bit was not meant to be taken literally. Surely. Something very peculiar has happened since I began my research on this figure. While he was listed as a German royal prince on Wikipedia and several other online sources, I returned recently to those pages and discovered that he had been posthumously demoted. Now he is listed as a count, and the only memory of his higher title seems to be in the cached script of a Wikipedia clone called wikivisually.com. Following the link shows a mostly scrubbed page, though they seem to have missed some of the details. Is it possible that certain figures are keeping tabs on our research and attempting to discredit us? I shall refer to him as a prince throughout the rest of this video. Keep your eyes open, my students, and rely not on mirrors alone to see what lurks over your shoulder. In any case, let us back to the prince. In 1983, after suing the co-founder of his company, which was ominously named The Source, His Royal Highness, Prince Wilhelm von Meister, created a new company with an equally overbearing name, Control Video Corporation. The Prussian prince's new company was a dial-up service of video games. In 1986, a year before the Signal Intrusion event, his company acquired the rights to distribute the new Commodore 64 game entitled Max Headroom. Den of Geeks' Robert McLaughlin says that this game was repetitive, tedious, and just downright dull. However, the game sold 20,000 copies. Like many illuminated art projects, it was a critical failure, but a commercial success. What's fascinating to me about this story is that we can see some of the detail of how the Illuminati interacts with itself in the career of Wilhelm von Meister. Certainly, he was a known quantity for being a German prince in the first place. Germany was, after all, the birthplace of the Illuminati's namesake organization, the Illuminated Seers of Bavaria. And so he was a known quantity, and through regular human ingenuity, he seems to have created a modestly successful piece of technology, and by the ostentatious names given to his businesses, The Source, Quantum Communications, Control Video Corporation, he seems to have been petitioning the Illuminated Masters for some larger project. The Max Headroom game was a godsend. Though the larger Max Headroom portion of the project was to fail for reasons that had nothing to do with His Royal Highness, the contacts that he made in helping to distribute it seemed to have served him well. In 1988, soon after the Chicago incident, he rebranded Control Video Corporation to have a much more palatable name: America Online. This less gauche name indicates to me the presence of much more dangerous and powerful entities with less to prove and more to accomplish. The overtones of Control were not completely obliterated from the rebranding, though, as the fledgling company took the eye in the pyramid as their logo. This project was evidently more successful than the Max Headroom one. In the year 2000, the company received another enormous infusion in cash by taking part in the largest merger ever permitted by the United States government until that time, resulting in the corporate Frankenstein known as AOL Time Warner. The Illuminated controllers took the opportunity to double down on their mystical Egyptian iconography. They traded the eye in the pyramid for the Eye of Horus. It seems to me manifest that the goals of the tripartite Max Headroom conspiracy have been met with astonishing flair by the internet, the development of which was greatly influenced by von Meister's company. What's changed from the original conspiracy is the methodology of implanting the desired personality. Instead of beaming in and growing the character from the science fiction work, Individuals are alternately entrapped by psychic addictions, stultified with repetitive content, and overloaded with endlessly variable but essentially identical choice, until the urgency of real stimulus decays. This demonstrates the diabolical adaptability of the Illuminati when considered in the context of what we know about emojis and their proliferation on von Meister's platform. These projects overlap, recombine, and spawn new demons into the night. It is the issue of Loki and Angerboda, strange new forms that ravage the collective unconscious and extract all value from the spoiled husks that remain. And now, having explicated this conspiracy to the best of my ability, I turn back to my library. I hope that you, my students, will continue your studious researches contemporaneously with myself, and will have important material to share when next we meet. Until then, may the Pyramid's eye watch over us all.